Hello, ladies. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Hello, hello. How are you ladies doing? Make sure to like the video. So I have something that I wanted to show you guys regarding Black women and dating interracially, dating online in particular. So we've heard before that, you know, Black women are considered the least desirable, right? That is something that is told to us a lot, especially here in the on these YouTube spaces here online. And then they use, data and statistics to back this up. Well, I'm sure we've all heard of and or seen before the Okcupid study that came out a few years ago saying or showing that Black women and just Black people in general were the least responded to, that Black women were swiping right on Black men for the most part, but Black men were not swiping right on them along with other races of men, right? Remember that study that came out and the Manosphere was talking about it, and other Black women content creators were talking about it as well. I'm actually going to pull it up for you guys. So there was two studies done, one in 2009. So we have this one here. Wait a minute. Yeah, this is it. The 2009 Okcupid study. You guys remember this, right? All the ratings and all of this stuff that was coming out, and Black women were um, rated the least. You see that red right here, um, across the board amongst all these men, right? And then the study in 2014 came out for Okcupid, and it was kind of similar results amongst the men. They were still in the red when it comes to Black women. So I wanted to show you guys some updated numbers. So I don't have any graphs like this to show the updates of this study, but I'm just going to let you know right now that I have evidence from someone who works in the Okcupid company. And it's a woman, and she came online to announce that since the pandemic, Black women have actually been getting the most responses than they ever have before since the pandemic. Okay. So keep in mind, these two studies are from 2009 and 2014, years ago. And I'm going to show you right now that on this same dating app, OkCupid, Black women have improved their dating options, online dating. So let me show you guys that. It's actually the woman speaking about it. Let me share my screen. And she spoke for a while, but we're not going to, listen to the whole thing that she said. But she confirmed that since the pandemic, as of most recently, Black women have improved their dating options. So I don't know if you guys know about this podcast, Therapy for Black Girls, right? Very popular podcast. I'm sure you guys have heard of this podcast because it's really, really good. Hold on, let me make sure I did this right. But I'm sure you guys have heard of this podcast because it's really, really good. And she gives lots of great information on, okay, there you go, on Black women and our mental health and just anything to do with the journey of what Black women are going through. So I'm going to play this for you guys so that you can hear that those old Okcupid studies are outdated. They are not accurate anymore. And she invited this woman on her podcast to talk about Black women dating online and what it really looks like as of recently since the pandemic, on how Black women are doing on dating apps when it comes to them getting responses, and just the least desired conversation, and just an update on that.
without talking about the impact of COVID. And I work with Okcupid as their official dating coach, and we've seen that really throughout the pandemic, dating apps were the only option for a lot of people to stay connected and stay in the dating space. And we've seen, especially for Black women are having more success online. And on OkCupid, over the last 3 years, they are getting more matches than any time before in the past 3 years. It's continued to increase.
Okay, y'all heard that right. Y'all heard this woman say that she works for OkCupid. That is her job. And she says that since the pandemic over the last 3 years, Black women getting matches and responses has increased and is continuing to increase. Y'all heard that right. I'm not, my ears are not deceiving me, right?
So that says to me that it is creating a space for everyone, but also for Black women to make connections that maybe weren't available to us, or that it definitely had a stigma before. I don't know what your feelings are on dating
Well, I
apps.
met my husband
I know you're married,
I
but
met my husband online too, so I am a huge fan. Yes.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. So,
Yeah.
we're in the know here. But I'm sure for a lot of your listeners, they're like, I don't know, like dating apps, that's for weird people. Or that's like what you do when you're desperate. But you and I aren't desperate, Dr. Joy.
No, I mean, and
We are
it's
smart.
interesting to me when people, because it feels like technology has like moved so fast that of course that's where you're meeting partners, because like you said, we're doing everything online. And so I think it is sometimes a little shocking to me when I hear especially much younger people have that same kind of sentiment related to dating apps, because it feels like we're doing everything online. So of course this is also where you meet people who are potential daters.
I will say I do notice a generational shift. A lot of my younger Dates and Mates listeners that are like, under, let's say, under 30, they grew up with technology. They don't even differentiate. It's just dating.
Mhm.
Like dating apps, it's not, oh, I met on a dating app or I met this way. And yet I still sometimes hear from daters of, I'll just go ahead and say my generation and older, who still feel like that's not the story that I want to tell my kids. And I don't know, I like to have my kids to tell the story to. They do not care at all how we met.
Mhm.
This is
So, I do understand what she's saying about there's a generational difference. So, for you ladies coming in, I just played this woman. It's on this podcast called Therapy for Black Girls, pretty popular podcast, in my opinion. Um, she's basically giving an update on those OkCupid results that came out a few years ago showing that Black women were the least matched or the least responded to or whatever, or just the least desired. And that's how the whole Black women are the least desired topic came into play in these online spaces. And what I played earlier is she works for OkCupid, and she said within these past 3 years since the pandemic, that has actually changed significantly. Black women have received more responses, more matches, and she is saying that it's steadily increasing as of right now. And keep in mind that those previous OkCupid results came out years ago, 2009 and 2014. So there is no updated chart exactly of what she's saying, but she works for them, and she came on this podcast to, the topic is Black women in online dating, and she came on this podcast to discuss it, and she talks about what's really going on behind the scenes, that hasn't been, put in a chart just yet because it's new information, but she works there, so she's able to tell you who's responding to who the most, how people are doing based on race. And I'm going to play more of it because she releases more information about what people are actually saying in their profiles to get them matches and things like that. But she's saying that Black women are doing perfectly fine. Actually, they're doing the best that they've ever done on dating apps within the last 3 years. And it's just really interesting because within these past 3 years, this is when Kitten Hills, Mr. Kevin Samuels, had went viral, right? He went viral in what was that, like 2020, last year, 2021 or whatever. And then, lots of other new Black women channels came about, the conversation of Black women dating out kind of went up there. I mean, divestment and all these spaces have been around for years, of course, so has the manosphere, but it's really taken kind of a jump as of recently with people creating new channels and new content. So it's also interesting that at the same time that that is going on here on YouTube and here on social media in general, that Black women have actually, basically been listening to the things said in these spaces and have been opening up their options and have been swiping right on other people other than Black men. Because in those previous OKCupid studies from 2009 and 2014, where Black women were overwhelmingly swiping right on Black men, but it wasn't very much the same vice versa, and other races of men weren't swiping right that much on Black women either. We can also conclude from those studies that Black women were not swiping right on other races of men in general. That's why the response that's a good reason why the responses were also really low. So it's just funny how everyone came out and said, "Oh no, Black women are swiping right on everyone. These men just don't want them because they're the least desirable." And actually, Black women weren't swiping right on those men in the first place, not at the level they were with Black men. But it's safe to say that now that they are, because now their responses are up, their matches are up, and it's continuing to go up. So that's what this podcast was about, Black women dating online. And this woman who works for OkCupid is releasing that information. And I'm like surprised that no one is talking about this. This podcast did just come out, however, like a few days ago, I think. So let me continue to play this.
Now, kind of going back to the mindset work, whatever that story is that you're telling yourself about what that means, if you can just let that out of your mind, because the venue doesn't matter. It's once you have the connection, that's really what we're going for. So online dating really today is just dating.
Mm-hmm. More from my conversation with Damona after the break. Sponsored in part easier. We also love checking
career as a casting director. The headshot was what got you in the door. Once you get there, you're on your own. But no, I'm kidding. I help people throughout this entire process. But be infused with a lot of information in a short little paragraph. And so this is where we have to write and rewrite. And what you first put down is probably not going to be ultimately the right profile. So a lot of times people will just start with a preamble, and I can strike the first line of most people's dating profiles. It's, "I can't believe I'm here. I didn't think I would end up," right? It's like an explanation of how I got here. I like to use that real estate very strategic.
So she's about to get into it some more on what she's actually seeing on the profiles. Let me see what you guys are saying on the chat. But what do you guys think about this so far? What do you think about this? Because it has been said on these YouTube streets and on the internet for a long time, since I've been on here like that Black women are the least desired. And they use the OkCupid study from years ago. It's 2022. The last one that came out was 2014. In 2 years, that'll be a decade ago. Still using those old studies as an excuse or as a reason behind why Black women are the least desired, as one of the reasons. They're using all types of stats, um, but they're using that as the reason as to why. And this woman is telling you, as of the last 3 years, that's actually changed. You know what I'm saying? So, I know for me, I date online, and I've always gotten more matches and likes from men who aren't Black than I have with Black men. That's kind of always been a thing, in my area. Dark Angel says, I met my current boyfriend on OkCupid. Yes, he's a Brad. Exactly, Dark Angel. And this is what that woman is saying, that there's so many Black women who are like this. They're actually succeeding in finding genuine relationships online, matches at least, conversations. Black women are being much more open within the past 3 years than they were before. And I want to assume I have no confirmation of this, is my personal opinion and my own theory slash assumption, is that it is because of spaces like this here online. The conversation of Black women dating out is what is influencing them to actually do it in their real life, especially the Black women of the Generation X, or X, well, Generation Y and Z, millennials and Generation Z, especially. Generation X Black women are dating out as well. There is an increase in that. There is an increase in that, you know? So there's a lot of Black women who are dating online for the first time and becoming successful, and it's only getting better. There's no decrease. So this lie, or rather, well, actually, it is a lie. It was never just old information. It was a lie that Black women are the least desired based off of these old stats. The whole time it was a lie, because Black women were never really swiping and opening up their options in the first place. So, how can you be able to conclude that Black women are the least desirable when Black women aren't even making themselves available to other groups of men? How does that make sense? You can't just say Black women are the least desired compared to everyone else when Black women aren't even in the ring to compete, or whatever, to be shown, to be chosen, to be whatever. They're not. They're only limiting themselves to Black men. So that's all you have to go off of. That's all you have to go off of. Cleo says the Black women are waking up. I am glad. Exactly, they are. This type of content and this information is not falling on deaf ears, okay? Black women are really out here making changes. Last night I went live. I think it's still up, but I'll probably take it down later. But I went live to talk about Lori Harvey and Michael B. Jordan. And Black women are just making up and making their own choices. They're not following along with what everyone thinks that they should do. They're doing what they want to do. They're not doing things based off of fear. The wall and all this other crap is not, it ain't true. There's no such thing as a wall. You know, the fear of missing out doesn't apply to women who are choosing what they want to do with their own lives. It just doesn't apply. You're not missing out on anything when you make your own choices as a grown adult woman. You're not. You're not. Okay? For women like Lori Harvey, who have been with Michael B. Jordan, and just so many other situations like hers where these women have been with these men in a full blown relationship, I'm pretty sure she knows what she's doing when she makes her decisions. Okay, they're talking about her and other situations like her in general. Like she don't know what she's doing. Like she wasn't in the relationship that she was in to tell what was right for her. Like she doesn't have a whole support system of people that have been there, done that with what she's doing to give her wise counsel. Like people are acting like she's missing out or she's doing something wrong or she's gonna screw up or you're never gonna find this again. Are you kidding me? Especially a woman like Lori Harvey. Like, huh? Please, please. When a woman is doing her thing and she's on her grind, there is no, oh, you're gonna miss out. You know what I'm saying? Like there is none of that. She's working hard, she's doing her own thing, and she will get what she deserves from that. And whoever Lori wants to settle down with, that's going to be her choice. He might be better than Michael B. Jordan. He might not, quote unquote, be better than Michael B. Jordan, but you know what? He will be the man for her in Lori's eyes. And that is how Black women are making their decisions. They are making their decisions based on who is best for them in their eyes, not in the eyes of their family, not in the eyes of social media, not in the eyes of stats. They're making those decisions based on the eyes of what they see, what they want, what matters to them. They're not following trends. It's a horrible, horrible way to make decisions when you're making them based off of what's trending, when you're making them based off of what the stats are saying. Huh? No. Absolutely not. The truth is says, yes, I am here for it. I am happy to see and hear this from my fellow sisters. We deserve happiness. Absolutely. Absolutely, Black women deserve happiness. Black women deserve everything and anything they're working towards. Hard work pays off. So if you're working hard, it's going to pay off. Is it going to pay off tomorrow? Is it going to pay off next week? Is it going to pay off next year? Who knows, but it is going to pay off. That's just the law of the nature. That is just, if you're a Christian person, that's even biblical. Give and you shall receive. Okay, so many proverbs of all types of whatever you believe in, historical texts that feed into hard work paying off. Good deeds, you get things in return for that. Good karma is a real thing. You know what I'm saying? So for you ladies coming in, please like the video. I'm going to rewind a little bit back to um the main part that I was talking about. Hopefully I don't miss it. But this is a podcast called Therapy for Black Girls. I hope you ladies have heard of it because it's really, really good. It's also on Apple and Spotify, but she's also on YouTube. And a woman that works for Okcupid came on her podcast just a few days ago to give updated information about what's going on with Black women on dating apps. And I wanted to show you guys this because Black women have been repeatedly told they're the least desirable from all these old Okcupid studies where Black women were in the red and they were the least responded to and all this stuff. So that was one of the main um, points of evidence that the manosphere and just anyone on social media were using to show that Black women are the least desirable because no one's talking to them on dating apps. Well, this woman who works for Okcupid has said since the pandemic, as of recently, that has changed drastically, that Black women are actually doing the best they've ever done on dating apps. They're getting the most matches, which obviously we can safe to assume are translating into relationships. So I'm going to play a little bit of it one more time for those of you ladies coming in.
And ask their opinions. And then the other thing that has shifted is just, I mean, we can't have this conversation without talking about
For
the
sure.
impact of COVID. And I work with Okcupid as their official dating coach, and we've seen that really throughout the pandemic, dating apps were the only option for a lot of people to stay connected and stay in the dating space. And we've seen, especially for Black women are having more success online. And on OkCupid, over the last 3 years, they are getting more matches than any time before. In the past 3 years, it's continued to increase. So that says to me that it is creating a space for everyone, but also for Black women to make connections that maybe weren't available to us or that it definitely had a stigma before. I don't know what your feelings are on dating.
Okay, so you guys just heard it. She just gave you new information within the last 3 years that Black women are doing the best they've ever done on dating apps before. And these old stats, this one, for example, I know you guys have seen this one around. These old stats are irrelevant now. These old stats are irrelevant now. All right. All these men rating women and Black women were all in the red. If they were to recreate this chart, that probably wouldn't be there anymore. Based off of what this lady just said, and pay attention to the date up here, 2014. According to what this lady just said, who works with OkCupid, within the last 3 years since the pandemic, it has changed. Black women are doing the best they've ever done. So it's safe to say that Black women aren't as in the red anymore. Now, are they at like 100% in the green? No, I'm sure that they're not all the way up there, but they're doing way better than they ever were before. Matter of fact, none of these people are really in the 100%, to be honest, but you know what I'm saying? So all of this information is outdated. If you see this circulating around and they're still using it as what's going on today, absolutely not. It's not what's going on today. This is old. This is outdated. This is from 2014. This woman just said that recently Black women are doing the best and they're actually doing better. since the pandemic, and I would also throw in since swirling and divestment became more of a conversation on here, right? Since Kitten Heels didn't went viral, and then the whole conversation really started, and more Black women started listening to different types of content. I think that was a big influence as well. So I'm going to continue on to where we left off.
It's like an explanation of how I got here. I like to use that real estate very strategically. Start with your headline. Like dating profiles used to have a headline or a username that said a little bit more about what you're about. But that's the first thing people are going to see. So it's okay. You can say like faith, family, and fun are the as OkCupid's dating expert, I can see all the data of what trends we're seeing and which words are popping on profiles. There are certain words that do very well. So if you use the word music, travel, fun, food, or dog. Music, travel, food, or dog. Those for some reason, Dr. Joy, those always do well, but I think it's because it's about our lifestyle and it's aspirational. And when we are using those words, we're usually telling stories that paint a picture of what it would be like to date us.
So you mentioned earlier that, because of COVID, you have definitely seen numbers increase in terms of like Black women getting more matches. What are some other trends that you've seen kind of since the pandemic or other things that you've seen perform very well for people in their dating profiles?
Well, I'll start with the trends that we've seen since the pandemic. We've seen that people are really more focused on relationships. We thought we might see that after the pandemic, people were just like we were saying last summer was gonna be hot girl summer, and everybody was going to wanna come out of their houses and just let loose. But it seems like really what happened was during the pandemic, people got really clear on what was important to them. And that mindset work that I was talking about really came to the forefront for a lot of people. And it caused us to really figure out how do I want to live my life and where do I want to be even. Obviously, we saw a lot of people that realized that if their job could be virtual and they didn't need to be based in a particular place, that they might want to move back with family or move across country or live internationally. And it just opened up the possibility for people to live the life that they really wanted when before I think we weren't even really given the space to ask some of those questions. So we are seeing that people are expanding their distance preferences. Black women have expanded 30% beyond 100 miles, which I think is actually a really wonderful opportunity and really how dating apps should be used most effectively because
So did you guys hear that? She's saying, so for those coming in, this woman works with OkCupid. Basically, um, she said that Black women are doing the best they've ever done on dating apps, particularly OkCupid, ever before, and it's getting better. And I wanted to give you guys an update on this OkCupid study that we have seen, if you've been on YouTube, that the men use as evidence that Black women are just the least desired because we're all rated in the red. Keep in mind, this study was from 2014, and this woman works with OkCupid, and she came on this podcast a few days ago to give updated information on what's really going on with Black women. And so, considering that Black women are, these numbers don't matter anymore, and she's basically saying that, and she's saying that Black women are doing the best on OkCupid, and it's going up. She also just said that Black women are expanding their distance on their dating profiles. They're looking to date men from out of town or long distance relationships, and they're just really opening up and casting their net extra wide. And I don't know how you ladies feel about long distance dating. Personally, I don't see a problem with it. I don't, I don't see a problem with a lot of a lot of things. If Black women choose to do it and it makes them happy, I don't see a problem with that. And that's what she's saying. A lot of Black women, particularly on OkCupid, are choosing to do. And it's definitely helping them find better matches, have better conversations, and obviously higher quality connections. So that's really interesting to see, and to hear that Black women are being so open, not only to different races of men, but in different areas. And I've heard that on this space a lot as well, to be open to going certain places, even on TikTok. I'm seeing Black women meeting guys that live here. She lives here in the US and she's matching with a guy in freaking Ireland, and they're flying to see each other. I saw one TikTok of a Black girl and she finally got to meet her guy from Europe, and they met in the airport and he gave her flowers, and it was just so cute. And she was a younger Black girl, right? And they're still together and everything. And her video had like lots of views, probably went, at this point probably went viral on TikTok right about now. But there's a lot of Black girls who are being so incredibly open to all kinds of possibilities, not just race, but all types of situations on how they're finding love, how they're finding and getting healthy relationships. And it's coming from online dating. Coming from online dating. That's why I titled this video, When Black Women Swipe Right. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. Black women are actually being completely open. They're letting go of old like narratives in their head that were restrictive, that were based in scarcity, and they're completely just being open, letting go, leaning back and allowing their femininity to flow and control the situation, and just enjoying being connected to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Just a connection. Because I'm telling you guys, when you have a connection, anything really is possible past that point. People don't connect easy peasy lemon squeezy all the time, especially guys. That's one thing I mentioned on my live last night with the whole Lori Harvey and Michael B. Jordan thing. Is Lori Harvey is out here navigating with high connection to her suitors, but low attachment. That's why she's moving on. That is clearly and obviously her dating strategy. Men don't really, when they're seriously open and looking for a relationship, or when they at least find one they like, they actually have this attachment. When it's a woman they want, it is an attachment that they develop. Um, with that woman. Now they do be running through girls now, and that's low attachment, right? That's also low connection too, because to run through people, you can't have a high connection if you're out here running through folks, sleeping with people, different people every week, and then never speaking to them again. That's obviously low connection and low attachment. So, but women are actually showing that they can do high connections and low attachment. And I agree with that. I think if you're dating, trying to find someone, high connections, low attachment, meaning you're living in the moment, you're attentive, you're intuitive, you're paying attention to what's going on. You're not thinking about all these, is he going to leave me? Is he going to this? Is he going to that? That's just, who cares? Enjoy the time you have with this person right now. Enjoy this conversation right now. The rest will sort it out later. All right. And from what this woman is saying, that's what I'm gathering. I'm gathering that Black women are just not thinking about what's going to happen later. They're just expanding, opening, accepting, flowing, and going. Like that's it. That's all they're focusing on. And it's working out. It's absolutely working out. Let me see what you guys are saying. I mean, isn't this like such great information? This just came out a few days ago. So these old stats, okay, talking about that black women were the least sought after in 2014. This woman is literally telling y'all within the past 3 years since the pandemic, Coinkydink, also since that manosphere stuff has been going viral, since divestment really had a reemergence, swirling had a reemergence, and the conversations of Black women dating out has had an emergence, right? We're seeing all these Black women dating out on TikTok. That has all been happening within the past 3 years. It's went up, this woman is saying. Black women's responses, particularly on Okcupid, has increased, right? So these spaces on here, I mean, people want to criticize being a content creator. People want to silence Black women. If you silence Black women, you silence their progress. You prevent their progress from happening when it comes to them wanting healthy relationships. It's already known that Black women are the most to, read self-help books and all that stuff, right? And self-improvement, right? So since we know that, we have to assume also that Black women are also interested in improving other areas of their life, including their love lives. So, yes, absolutely. I don't understand why there's some people in general that don't want to talk about um, Black women finding love, that want to flat out say Black women don't deserve it, when Black women are clearly the ones, as of recently especially, doing the work to be as open and expand as possible. And not only that, but I'm seeing Black women have weight loss transformations on TikTok. I don't know, is it just me, or on TikTok when I'm scrolling now, it used to be all these other like non-Black women talking about going to the gym and with their personal training. I'm actually seeing a lot of Black women now record themselves lifting weights, dropping pounds from January 2021 to January 2022. Those weight loss transformation TikToks with the fun music and all that stuff. And they're snatched. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing Black women show their natural hair journeys. Their natural hair is like past their bra strap now when they started off as a teeny weeny afro, TWA. I'm seeing a transformation in Black women within the past 3 years as well. And it all ties into this information. It all ties into what this woman is saying. Hard work doesn't go unnoticed. Okay, good karma exists. Black women, you do the work, you'll get what you want. You'll get what you deserve. And you can deserve exactly what it is you want at the same time. That's possible. So these men over here bringing up old stats. They already was talking about the Monahan report, which they were flat out wrong about, but that was something that's old as well. They're bringing up old information. If it's not stats and information since the pandemic, which is the most recent, all these studies are coming out about how people are doing since the pandemic in general, jobs and unemployment and inflation and all this other stuff. If it ain't information from this time, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. All right. Unfortunately, there has been some negative things I've seen about Black men since the pandemic came out. Unfortunately, right? Because no one's benefiting off of Black men owing 50 billion to the government. No one's benefiting off of that, so it is unfortunate, but it's just the truth. That has also came out since the pandemic. I mentioned last slide on my lives that drug overdoses for Black men is the highest it's been since the pandemic as well. So many other things. But for Black women, it hasn't been that way. Black women are not the most unemployed since the pandemic. First of all, everybody lost their job, but Black women aren't at the top of that list. They're also not at the top of that list when it comes to the drug overdose. They're actually number 3 or 4, okay, since the pandemic. And now we have this information. Since the pandemic, Black women have actually been doing extremely well on dating apps compared to this study in 2014 that's clearly says the opposite. Not anymore. And then you just heard her say that Black women have been expanding their location, their mileage on their dating app. They're willing to meet men in different cities. They're just more open. They're more open, more willing, more flowing, and more um, excited to do different things. Black Girl says, "Yep, I saw those weight loss transformations too of Black women. They're all over the place. Black women are really taking their health seriously. All right. I've seen a lot of Black women start juicing. Black women are going on walks. Lori Harvey made Pilates a trend. I'm seeing lots of Black girls going to Pilates. I actually started doing Pilates 2 months ago. And everyone says Pilates is expensive. It is, honestly, but you can do it for free on YouTube. It's only like 30 minutes. And I thought it was hard, but it's like yoga, but just more of a workout type of thing, but it's still like the calm flow of yoga. So I just started going to a Pilates studio through this service called Class Pass, where it makes it a little bit cheaper. You pay like $70 a month and you get to do a few classes of whatever closest Pilates studios next to you. And I love it. I'd be sore, but I'm not that sore. Like, I'm doing good. I love Pilates. So I'm definitely a Pilates girl now, okay? And I take my walks. I try to do 10,000 steps a day, which is about 4 to 5 miles of walking a day. But if you're up and about on the go, going to the grocery store, you want to go to the park, walking around your place, those steps add up by the end of the day. So I'm just always walking around doing things, and I have felt so good. I'm less bloated. I'm just more awake. Oh, I love Pilates. I don't think I'll ever stop doing Pilates. Black Rose, I do Pilates. Yes, girl. I don't know. I love it. I love it now. Like, Black women are actually sharing things with each other. We're actually doing those things, following the advice. So I don't know where these Black men get off saying that Black women don't want to do better, that we're not trying to improve. I mean, I don't see that. I don't see that of Black women out here. And now you have other women coming on to confirm actually Black women are doing the best they've ever done. And it's not slowing down. It's actually continuing to go up. I want to try juicing. Cleo says, yeah, juicing is the truth. Like, oh my gosh. I think I read a post saying the difference between juicing and a smoothie is that juicing, you get to extract the vitamins directly from the fruit or the vegetable, compared to smoothies where you get a lot more of the fiber in it. So you get to choose whichever one you want, but I love juicing. I love it. I get to include more fruits in it compared to a smoothie where I can't include a bunch of uh, fruits in it because the thing will get full. But in a juicer, I can put all apples and just 20 different fruits in there and drink the juice, and it's so good. Teresa says, love Pilates. Tried it for the first time. That is good. It's really good for you. I absolutely love Pilates, and it's a great stress relieving, um, low impact exercise. So if you don't want to get hardcore into the running and all that stuff, try Pilates, and then just try walking. Like, just walk around your wherever you got to go. Just walk, That alone you can lose weight from just walking. Super easy. I mean, we all walk, so it's easy. That's probably the easiest way to get started with a weight loss journey is just walk. you know. Eh. Sophia says, yes, white women and then Latino women are facing obesity more according to stats, so it can't be a coincidence that Black women are now losing weight and that Black men's toxicity will lead to it. Yeah, it's not a coincidence. Black women are losing weight, guys. I'm seeing the transformations all the time on TikTok. I mean, they are just looking snatched. Like, I don't know what happened over the pandemic for a lot of us, but it's like we're losing weight, we're reading more. There's a lot of Black girls in tech making lots of a good amount of money now. I've seen a lot of Black girls graduating as well. And now this woman is saying that Black women on dating apps are doing the best they've ever done. Oh, on Okcupid. The truth is, says, I love how we are sharing things with each other to improve ourselves. True sisterhood. Exactly. Exactly. I agree. I don't understand those women who don't want to share things. I don't get it. Because if you're a part of a group of people and you don't want to share the keys to success with your group, y'all all gonna look bad, including you. Even though you know the secrets and you're doing good, you still have an image that's going to be in alignment with the majority. So if the majority isn't doing good, you also want to be prideful and stubborn and not help and share. Everyone's going to suffer, including yourself. So it's best that you just share and create a sisterhood. It's not a competition. When it comes to being your best, it's not a competition because no one else can be you. You can only be you. Therefore, it's okay to share things with other people that aren't you. They're not going to take your spot. You can only take your spot. It's okay. It's totally okay. Unfading Passion says, wait, only 1% of black men liked Black Woman on the app. Black women are down bad. So, Unfading Passion. So, let me just refresh if you guys are just now coming in. We all have seen this study before. This is old. I was just playing a clip of a podcast that came out a few days ago of a woman who works with Okcupid to give updated results on these types of studies that came out years ago. And she said that Black women are actually doing the best on this app than they've ever done before. And since the pandemic, within the last 3 years. So I don't know how it looks for Black men and how they're responding to Black women in particular. But she said overall, whoever Black women are responding to, period, is they're getting matches. They're getting responses. It is not on that app in particular, OkCupid. It is not how it is in this study from 2014. It's completely different now. So I can go back and play that part one more time if you guys want me to, because you guys haven't heard it for yourself. I can do that. I don't mind. Let me just remember where we're at. Okay, 20. So let me just go back to the part where this woman actually says that Black women are doing the best they've ever done since the pandemic, and that these old studies from 2009 and 2014 are irrelevant now. And any type of study someone wants to show you regarding Black women, and it's not from since the pandemic, I wouldn't pay attention to it. I just wouldn't, because too much has happened in this country, in the world in general, for y'all to still be paying attention to stats done from 2010. Like, that's just a joke. That's seriously just a joke.
Of course, that's where you're meeting partners because, like you said, we're doing everything online. And so I think it is sometimes a little shocking to me when I hear, especially much younger people, have that same kind of sentiment related to dating apps because it feels like we're doing everything online. So, of course, this is also where you meet people who are potential daters.
I will say I do notice a generational shift. A lot of my younger Dates and Mates listeners that are like, under, let's say, under 30, they grew up with technology. They don't even differentiate. It's just dating.
Mm-hmm.
Like dating apps, it's not, oh, I met on a dating app or I met this way. And yet I still sometimes hear from daters of, I'll just go ahead and say my generation and older, who still feel like that's not the story that I want to tell my kids. And I don't know, I like to have my kids to tell the story to. They do not care at all how we met.
Mm-hmm.
This is now kind of going back to the mindset work. Whatever that story is that you're telling yourself about what that means, if you can just let that out of your mind, because the venue doesn't matter. It's once you have the connection, that's really what we're going for. So online dating really today is just dating.
Mm-hmm. More from my conversation with Damona. The reasons why people are pursuing online dating services to kind of find partners.
Well,
you might be asking yourself, can you actually create high quality live streams?
We're doing everything online these days,
True.
right? I mean, if you're on social media, you're texting, you're buying like the smartphone and moving to like when I started online dating, is just, I mean, we can't have this conversation without talking about the impact of COVID. And I work with Okcupid as their official dating coach, and we've seen that really throughout the pandemic, dating apps were the only option for a lot of people to stay connected and stay in the dating space. And we've seen, especially for Black women are having more success online. And on Okcupid, over the last 3 years, they are getting more matches than any time before. In the past 3 years, it's
Black women are getting more matches For the first time ever within the last 3 years since the pandemic on OkCupid. So, ladies, sign up for OkCupid. I've never used OkCupid, honestly. Excuse me. I'm dating a man right now, but we're not official, so I'm still meeting guys. Right now, I'm on Coffee Meets Bagel. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. I actually really like Coffee Meets Bagel. It's my first time on it. I have a girlfriend who met her husband on there, so I decided to try it out too. Finally, she met him on there also during the pandemic. She's black. Her husband is biracial, but he's like a biracial that's more affiliated with his white culture, if you know what I mean. So yeah, they met on Coffee Meets Bagel, and they've been married since 2020. They're still going strong. They live together and everything. They just got a dog. So um, I like Coffee Meets Bagel so far. I've only been on it for like 2-3 weeks, and I've had one date with a guy on there. He's a creative director for a tech company. So it's going well for me on there. We have a second date this Sunday on top of a guy I'm already been dating. But I'm still single, so I can still meet and mingle. And that's how you guys should do it. High connection, low attachment. So, that's what I'm on. But OkCupid just seems to be where it's at for Black women right now. But I'm sure that on plenty of other dating apps, it's also improving. I'm sure OkCupid is not the only one. I've used Coffee Meets Bagel. I like it. I prefer Bumble. Yeah, I was on Bumble before I got on Coffee Meets Bagel, and I liked it. I liked it. I like Bumble. I mean, Bumble's like a kind of classic one. I've been on it a few times, and I've always had good results. I enjoy Bumble. But that is what this woman just said, who works with OkCupid. She's basically saying that Black women are doing the best they've ever done on that app compared to these studies from 2014 and 2009 that stated otherwise, that Black women were in the red amongst pretty much all men. Well, according to what this woman's saying, Black women are doing just fine since the pandemic in particular, which is what I was talking about earlier about the transformation that's been happening with Black women in a multitude of areas, their mental health, their physical health. I know we were just talking about Pilates and juicing and walking and weight loss transformations that Black girls are doing on TikTok. And, and then later on, I played that she said, where we really left off was she said that Black women are expanding their distance on dating apps. They're expanding it up to like almost 100 miles or whatever she said out of their area. So Black women are just being extremely open and willing to go through, any type of situation for dating to meeting their mate. Like they're not putting any obstacles in the way. So if you combine all of that, Black women transforming their health, their dating life. I'm seeing Black women graduate a lot. I'm seeing Black women entering new careers such as tech. When you combine all of that, you're going to see good results. And a lot of that has been happening since the pandemic has started.
Because if you go out in your local community, like you kind of know the people.
Do you guys see this app right here? It's called Audible. There's actually a better way to make money.
Well, you're going to know. But if you can just expand your pool, that can expand your chances exponentially. We also are seeing that people are wanting their relationships really to last. So Black women on OkCupid said that they wanted long-term commitment and they wanted their next relationship to last the rest of their life. 50% said that. 27% said several years, and only 3% said one night, which I think, a lot of people, I don't know what it was like when you were online dating, but a lot of people assumed that like, oh, that's just for hookups, that's transactional. But we're really seeing at OkCupid that is not the case at all.
Right.
What was it like? Tell me.
Yeah.
I want to tell.
Well, I've been married, like 10 years now? So, I mean, I don't know. We may have been online. Well, you've been with your husband for 15 years. So a little.
So interesting. So both of these women have met their husbands online. back when, they're talking 10, 15 years ago. So back when it was like on websites, they're saying, and they've remained married. So they didn't have the apps back then. And she said that 50% of Black women are actually looking for long term. 20 something percent said a few years. And then less than like 3% said they want, a one night thing. You know what I'm saying? But it's just funny because the men on here claim that that small 3% of Black women who are on the apps for, hooking up, they swear that that's the majority of Black women, and it's not. This woman just said that it's not even close. It's only 3%. So if she's saying that Black women are getting the best results they've ever gotten on OkCupid, 50% of them are looking for something serious, it's safe to say that they're succeeding in that. And that's very good news. It's very good news. It's the reality, and it's all updated since the pandemic. This isn't from 2009. Okay? These old stats, stop listening to them. Stop bringing them up. Like, they don't matter anymore. They don't matter. What matters is the reality of what's going on. I really, once again, want to advise you ladies that if it isn't a study that has come within the last 3 years, it's probably not relevant because the pandemic changed a lot. And it's not relevant if it's coming from 2015. It's just not, you know. Mocha Mommy says apps vary from market to market and demographic to demographic. Okay, Cupid attracts tons of dust since they give men free trials like women. Low cost apps attract a caliber of men you don't want anyway. Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. The apps where you have to pay, I have experienced that it's higher quality men on that for sure. I mean, because men have quality. They don't want to do anything that's cheap and just, low and just bottom of the barrel. Like they want something that is of a higher standard because that's how they hold themselves in general. So anything else they do down to their dating life is going to be of a higher standard. Sophia says, yes, that was the perception at the time. When you date online, you have to vet very carefully for scams and crazy people with catfishing or with STDs. Yeah, that is true. Dating online. I mean, still today, a lot of people go on for like hooking up, but today it's not like that as much. People go on dating apps. They actually find good relationships, good people to connect with and have great connections with. And I was reading another article a long time ago, and it was saying, and it said that by in the next few decades, over 90% of marriages will be started from the people meeting each other on some kind of an app, dating app, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Um, Majority of relationships are just going to be formed from being online. So it's definitely changing this perception big time.
Little longer. But yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't see it as an online hookup kind of thing because that's not what I was looking for. Though I'm sure you can use them that way, right? Like you can kind of get whatever it is that you're looking for. Now, I definitely feel like because there are more apps available now, I do feel some of them have the connotation of being a place where you go to find people that you're interested in hooking up with, as opposed to like seriously dating.
Mhm. Yeah, it really depends on where you are and also what kind of functionality do you like? Like, I love that at OkCupid, they have the stacks at the top where you can search based on specific qualities. You can search based on distance, you can search based on new, and I like that over just being on a general swipe app that it's like whoever comes up, whoever comes up. And you can also, because we have the matching questions, you can search based on what's important to you, and you can even have deal breakers that filter out people that don't match for you. So I like, as a dating coach, I can really get in there and like pull the different levers to get you a better dating pool, because it can get exhausting if you're just like, oh, I'm just swiping and swiping and swiping through pictures. I know that that can get exhausting, but that's why I feel like a strategy for how to use dating apps is really important, because like we busy. we, we don't we don't have a lot of time to put into making dating a second job for ourselves. So if you can do it more efficiently, then why not maximize your time?
Right, right, for sure. So, something else that I think often comes up is this safety issue related to online dating, right? Even though, we know there's a safety concern, even if you meet people in the grocery store, right? But for some reason, online dating has this like added safety concern for people. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts around like boundaries and other things people should be setting or keeping in mind as it relates to like taking an interaction online into the offline world.
I was hanging
Question, and I work on the Drew Barrymore show, and I said to Drew, at one point, I was gonna write a book called I Could Have Been Dead. Just about all of the things that happen in real life, Dr. Joy, like, not online dating. When I was, single and in these streets, like, you didn't know anything. Like, I just met you in a bar, and I'm like, Sure, I'll go in a car with you." So, let me just give you my rules for online dating safety that I tell my clients. But you have to remember there's like an element of risk in meeting any stranger. But if you meet them in a public place, let's back up. Before you even meet them, I think it's a good idea just to do a basic level Google search. Don't go all Google sleuth on me. Just do like a basic search that just makes sure that this person lines up with what they've told you, that there's nothing crazy that comes up associated with them. If your spidey senses are going off and you're feeling like something doesn't seem right, or like they call you at weird times, or they can never FaceTime before the date. I'm a big fan of doing a phone call or a FaceTime before you go to the date to do a pre-screen. That will save you a lot of time, a lot of ghosting, a lot of heartache. But then once you get there, meet them in a public place that you're familiar with. Drop a pin and share it with your friends, so your friends know, and say, "Girl, I'm going to text you, say."
So she's, giving really good tips on how to stay safe for online dating. I've used a lot of them myself. I saw what you guys are saying in the chat. Michelle says, I've heard that Black men are catfishing Black women online. So we do need to be really careful with the online dating thing. I have heard about that. Okay. Sophia says, yes, believe it or not, they use profile pics of white men or white women. Weird. Yeah, I've heard about that, definitely. That there's been a lot of catfishing because it's really weird. I'm going to drop the link though, because I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear about how your online dating experience has been going. If you want to share it, and just your tips and just, what you've heard, and what you have to say about this, because this has been a talking point that has been dragged around for a while on here, that Black women are the least desired, and they're using these Okcupid studies to prove that. And we just heard that since the pandemic, that is not the case. Black women are doing the best they've done on that same exact study, or I mean, on the app, on that same exact app that they love to refer to, that gave that data. They're just doing better. Okay. And the podcast is, you can listen to it on YouTube. It's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's really, really good. Let me see what I'm saying. It's really, really good. The woman works for Okcupid. She's actually biracial herself. So she has a very good perspective, and she gives really great pointers in this podcast. And I was so happy to hear this. I wasn't even really searching for anything like this. I just turned it on. Black women in online dating. And I think that this is something that needs to be talked about, in the reality of Black women's desirability. I think that needs to be talked about, and it's definitely shifted since all of this information is coming out. since the pandemic, there has been a shift. Okay. It's just it's just there has been a shift, and it's been a good shift, and it's not the end. It's literally just getting started. We see it ourselves. So that's why when all these false things come out online regarding black women, it's not in alignment with the reality. It's a lot of old news. It's a lot of stats and studies from 2009 and 2015. What about since the pandemic? Since the pandemic is what's really going on. Since the pandemic is what we're living in right now. Okay? With inflation, all these things that has happened, unemployment and all this stuff. That's the type of data we need to be focusing on. Data that has been recorded since then. Not since 2016.
First of all, text me in an hour if if I haven't texted you so that I can get out of this date if I need to. But if you've done your preparation, you probably won't need it, but it's good to have the safety net. Let them know the information you know about this person and where you're going to be, and that you'll text them when you get home safely. And generally, most of the people you meet are not going to be scammers. You're probably not going to meet the Tinder swindler. Like, we love those stories because they're so outrageous and unlikely to happen. So if you just follow some basic safety rules, then you can just show up and be comfortable. And then also listening to your intuition. That's going to be your biggest clue if something is not right.
Mm-hmm. More from my conversation with Damona after the break. At www.essence.
So, I really love that this happened. Like, I really I really love that this came out because it's showing us what's really going on and what black women are doing. And I really loved how she said, I'm still stuck on how she said that black women are expanding their mileage to meet even more men. And she mentioned that when you focus on the connection, when you're as open as possible when it comes to developing a connection, you're most likely to have something special. Okay, you're not the most likely to have something special if you only check for wanting to date black men within a 30-mile radius. Okay, you're not going to be the most successful in finding something if those are your criterias. But if your criterias are all races up to 100 miles, then you're really like expanding. And then yeah, like how you guys are saying in the chat, if you like pay for it too, like paying for it is, guaranteed you'll probably have higher quality um connections. You'll have more, what is it called, like settings and stuff available for you to use to better navigate through the app. There's also, I know on Bumble you can like pay to have, or I think on a lot of other apps, you can pay to have like a spotlight feature when they push your profile um, through more so that you're seen more on the app. So little things like that. And, I love that, Black women are willing to just do things to make them more open and to give them more chances of meeting somebody.
So fill up on those goodies you find when you see them in the store. Looking for more.
Dating app should know about, you should definitely report it. Too many times, both on dating apps and in other spaces, we don't speak up because look, I get it. Like, sometimes it can be overwhelming, and you have a choice. You have an option to ask them clarifying questions or educate them. Say, you might not realize this, but this is an issue. And as someone who dated interracially, I found that a lot of people just were not aware of certain things about Black women, about Black culture. And it wasn't out of a place of malice, but it was out of a place of ignorance. And there's an opportunity there sometimes to educate people. But that's a lot of responsibility. And you can absolutely choose not to deal with that. The important thing is that you take care of yourself emotionally. And if you are feeling hurt by what they said,
So I'm going to rewind a little bit because she started talking about dating interracially in particular and how that's been for Black women on the dating app. And, she gave a little bit of her own experience. Hold on, let me rewind this because I want you guys to hear what she had said.
Say anything, then nothing will get done. Going to respond to this. How do I want to respond to this? If it's something that time, but if you don't say anything and the next person is kind of hiding behind a preference, you might want to get curious about how that person thinks and how they came to that conclusion. And you have a choice. You have an option to ask them clarifying questions or educate them. Say, you might not realize this, but this is an issue. And as someone who dated interracially, I found that a lot of people just were not aware of certain things about Black women, about Black culture, and it wasn't out of a place of malice, but it was out of a place of ignorance, and there's an opportunity there sometimes to educate people, but that's a lot of responsibility, and you can absolutely choose not to deal with that. The important thing is that you take care of yourself emotionally, and if you are feeling hurt by what they said, that you find a safe person that you can share that with who will validate your experience. So many times, our experiences with microaggressions, with colorism, with subtle racism, it gets brushed under the table at work, with our friends, in other circles. And it's real, and it's important that it's named, that it's acknowledged, and that you have a safe person or place to share those feelings. It's also important that you don't then internalize that to mean this is what everyone is doing online, or because I had this one experience on this one app, all the other people there are like that, because that only hurts you. And there are people there who want to connect with you, who want to understand, and that wouldn't make those same choices in the same situation. So it's all up to you. You have a number of options in the way that you want to respond, but the bottom line is you have to take care of yourself emotionally, and you have to honor what your experience is.
Hmm. So I'm curious, Demona, in the research that you've seen from OkCupid, if you've also seen anything around Black women. You already mentioned kind of increasing their radius in terms of who they're dating. Have you also seen people being open to dating people who are not other Black people, right? Because we get a lot of questions and like commentary from our social media community around maybe being interested in dating interracially, but not quite being sure, or like, what is that going?
Ooh, okay. So she's about to let y'all know Black women dating interracially on this dating app, at least. Okay, Cupid. So this is a part that I really wanted you guys to listen to.
To be, and so I'm curious to hear if there's been any research or information you found there.
I do have research, and I will say I also encourage my clients to really drill down into the values and goals. And a lot of times we look at certain things as a proxy for other values or goals. So we assume, oh, if they vote the same way that I do, they are the same faith that I do, they must believe the same things. If they're also Black, they must be aligned in values. And that is not always true. And if you can figure out what's really actually important, what's underneath, and have an open mind, you never know who might come into your dating circle. I do see from the OkCupid data that Black women do really put an emphasis on culture, ethnicity, and race as it relates to their identity. And we can have a conversation about this. It's higher than their
You might be asking yourself, can you actually create high quality live streams?
Black male counterparts. So 52% of Black women on OkCupid say it plays a crucial part in who they are, compared to 36% of men. I would love to hear your analysis, Dr. Joy, of why that is, because I can also say from the data that I've seen that Black men do date outside their race more than Black women do.
I'm not all the way sure why that is, but I agree with you that, like, just even anecdotally, it definitely feels like more Black men date interracially than typically Black women, though I am seeing an increase in that, right? So I definitely see more Black women talking about being open to dating other people. And I really appreciated what you said around how sometimes certain things are proxies for our values, right? So because we are both Black, does that mean we have a commitment to family, or, faith or spirituality practices are the same, when they could be, but not necessarily, right? And so I do think that that's something to keep in mind, because I don't know that I've heard that described that way. And I would imagine a lot of community members haven't heard that either.
Yeah. I mean, I'm Black and Jewish. So a lot of people don't assume that. And I have many different faiths within my family.
So, oh my gosh. So that's the part I really wanted you guys to hear. So she's saying that Black women, although they're doing better on this app compared to that study, they still have an emphasis on race. There's still an emphasis on Black women wanting to date within their race, within their culture, but they're still more open. There is, they said there's still an increase there. So I think this is still very good news. It's not like how it was before in those previous studies. So, like I said, there's still progress and transformation happening. There's still, change going on. There's still openness that's going on. It is increasing because there's more conversations surrounding this have been increasing. And that is what the purpose of all of this is. The purpose of these types of conversations is to see change increase and things becoming more open. Now, the fact that now let's just say, it's still Black women on this particular app still have a preference for Black men, but yet they're still getting a lot of good responses. They're still getting a lot of good matches. What is that telling us? Like, because according to that previous study from years ago, the matches weren't very good at all. They were like at the bottom of everyone else. But now they're pretty much the best they've ever been, according to what this woman is saying for Black women. So there's definitely change happening since the pandemic. That's just a matter of fact, according to what this woman is saying for this particular app, and just from what we've discussed that we're just seeing in general. So and she was talking about race. So clearly there's a lot of people on that app probably dating out for the first time and trying to navigate that and trying to navigate having certain conversations surrounding stereotypes and really establishing what a preference is, right? We had that we've witnessed the preference conversation on how people have preferences before an entire race and really educating educating someone on what that actually means, and those things are happening. So there's a lot of new things going on, a lot of people finally being open now, people realizing that race, culture isn't that much of a issue when it comes to me establishing a connection with someone, because there's other qualities that I value that are not exclusive to a person's race or culture. For instance, like anyone can be a good listener, anyone can be a good communicator, and people are starting to prioritize qualities like that over, oh, but they got to be Black, oh, they got to be, you know, raised in the church like me or whatever. Like people are just being open and realizing that these things matter to me, but they have a certain priority, and I don't have to go with it because the person is Black or because the person is over here. As long as the person meets this, then I'm willing to explore a connection. And I think that's the most beneficial, and that's part of being open. And that is how you can make sure that you have a good relationship and just good results in general when you're on the dating scene.
Like my brother-in-law is married to an Indian woman. My dad is remarried to a Mexican American woman. And I really feel like my life is enhanced as an American. My life is enhanced by having people of different cultures and different backgrounds in my world. I learn about them. I get to experience. I get to have I get to have chicken tikka masala on Thanksgiving. that's exciting to me. Like, I love that. And I do feel like Black women have a burden in our culture on Black women to be like the carriers of culture. And I think some of that is passed down from prior generations. And so all I aim to do is to have people get really clear on what is important to you. Is it important to you to have a Black family, to have a Black man, or is it important to you to have someone who supports you in infusing Black culture into your children, in sharing your faith, in being comfortable in celebrating your Black family, even if they are not of the same culture? And it's interesting when we start asking some of these questions. I actually wrote an article for the Washington Post about this back in 2020, June of 2020. You may remember that time. And one of my friends and colleagues who's a matchmaker had asked a question in a matchmaker dating coach. Is it racist if my client only will date their own race? And I was really surprised to hear some of the answers because most of, my friends and colleagues were like, "No, that's just preference. That's just their preference. That's what they prefer to date."
I've been getting paid $1,000 a month, if not more, just from this app on my phone.
And I said, "Well, it's kind of the definition of racial bias is to have certain beliefs about people just because of the color of their skin." So I have all of my clients do this process to really get clear on what they actually believe and what's important to them and separate it from what they may have inherited from their community or from their family. Like if a white client comes to me and says, and a lot of times it's not overt, they'll just only check white. If they, on the dating app, you can say what your race is and what race you're looking for. And it's very curious to me when I see that. I'll say, "Why?" And we'll do this technique. It's actually a business technique, the 5 whys, and we'll unpack it. Like, "Well, why is that? Well, why is that? Well, I never dated anyone Black." "Well, why?" "Well, because I didn't know anyone Black." "Well, why?" "Well, because there was no one Black in my neighborhood." "Well, why?" "Well, because, oh, redlining." I mean, usually the answer to all questions is probably racism in America. Right. But the process of uncovering that is very interesting to me. And I got a lot of hate mail, not gonna lie. I got a lot of people that were really triggered by what I wrote, but I got a lot of people that said, "I never looked at it that way." And these choices that I made, I didn't even realize my preference for someone of my same race or culture. It's not just my own choice. It's not by chance. It is actually a product of the environment that we live in.
Mhm. Ooh, Damona, we could spend a lot of time here, and we may need to schedule a part 2 because I have.
Ooh, yeah, she definitely said a lot. She definitely said a lot, but this isn't something that should be news. I mean, it is obvious that majority of people marry within their own race. It's also a fact that majority of Black women, even though this types of space is growing and Black women are opening up their options, that's increasing. Majority of Black women as a population, majority of the time want to marry a Black man. Like that's not we should all already know that swirlers, divestors, and Black women who are just open are not the majority of Black women. So that shouldn't be a shock. That shouldn't be a surprise. That's just really natural, actually. And it's the same for every other race of people. They prefer their own, and that is fine. But there are still a lot of people that are just as open. It's actually increasing. So when it comes to Black women especially being open to dating, there is room for Black women to be open to dating and getting good results because we're not the majority. We're already a small group of people in general. So an even smaller group of us who are actually open, it's not going to be very difficult. And yeah, I'm actually interested in reading her article now that she wrote. But I like how she questioned the other people who just only had a preference for their race when they're trying to date and be open and find a person. She's questioning, well, why aren't you open across all fronts, but at the end of the day, you can't force people to want something. They want what they want, and that's that. And that's why it's important to uh, vet as best as you can, cast your net out wide, and you're bound to meet someone who's on the same page. And it's okay, it's not an insult if you come across someone who is not on the same page as you. That is fine. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. There is, the law of abundance says that there is plenty. There is plenty for you. It's just a matter of you finding it and when you will find it, but it's out there. So, I'm really loving this conversation. I'm loving the results that Black women are getting. They are getting results. Is it at a 100% the highest of the highest? No, but it's much, much, much better than it's ever been before.
Have a lot more questions. I don't want to ask that, but I know we're running out of time. And so I want to make sure we get into some of these other things. So I have a few lightning round questions that I want to ask you for your hot takes on. So what are the top 3 online dating red flags that you see?
Okay. Top 3 red flags: incomplete profiles. Like if they just have a couple words, no good. If they have old photos, we all have crisp digital quality cameras in our phones. There's no excuse for an old, grainy, pixelated photo. And anyone who says that they want something different from what you want, you're not going to change them. If you want kids and they say kids maybe someday or no, they really mean that. Take them at their word.
Okay. Who pays for the first date?
Okay, so yeah, Nada was gonna play. So that's basically the end. It was just some fun questions from her. But that was it for the most part. That's what I wanted to show you guys. That's what I wanted to talk about. These old Okcupid studies, and this woman who works with Okcupid just gave an update on Black women and how they're doing on the app, and they're doing incredibly well, is what she said. She said that they're opening their options. She said that although the majority of the Black women on there, still at least 50% are wanting to still date within their race, there's the other flip side of that is there is a significant number of other Black women who are open, and that's like the highest ever. We've never heard of Black women being so open um, to dating out. So that's like really, really good. And Black women are also open to dating men of a larger radius in terms of miles, which is good too. So Black women are expanding. They're doing better, like I said. Let me see what you guys are saying. Cleo says, I remember when I just simply wanted a Black family, I was fantasizing the things I wanted from a Black man. He doesn't have it. The other non Black men do. Yeah, she was saying that too, that, the importance of uh, having a Black family, and how the Black women who still want to date a Black man are basing it off of the fact that they want their kids to be infused with the Black culture, is what she said. And I have said on my channel that as a Black woman, you need to put your womanhood before your race. You need to make sure that your kids just learn how to be the best human beings, not learn how to be the best Black human beings. Being the best human beings, period, is what's most important and is going to be the most beneficial. It's going to allow your kids to be into a lot of different areas and a lot of different seats at a lot of different tables if they just learn the basic fundamentals of being skilled and being good and being sociable. And all of that is much more important than just learning the fundamentals of being Black. And look, that's just my personal opinion. And I think with that mindset, it's easier for you to connect with all types of different people. We like we can't sit here and act like everything is blackety black, blackety black, black, black. It's not. Okay, it's not. It just isn't. We're less than like 13% of the US population, so we can't be out here acting like that. If we actually want to gain success, we're going to have to learn how to be more relatable to people across cultural lines. And I think that is something that Black women, especially since we're the carriers of our culture, we need to make sure we instill that into our children more than anything else, to be honest, so that our children can be successful no matter what they look like, no matter if they come out on the darker shaded side or on the lighter shaded side. I mean, there's biracial kids that come out looking black, but they're biracial, but they have darker brown skin. It shouldn't matter. It matters who they are, and that's what you need to focus on. And if you are a Black woman who believes that non Black men just have certain characteristics that you're most attracted to, that's probably a group of men that you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself around when you go out, when you are on dating apps, making yourself as open to meeting these types of guys so that you're able to have the love life and the relationship that you desire. And don't make everything about, you know, the end results of this Black family and Black culture. That's not, if you know that's not what's going to feed your spirit, why are you paying attention to that stuff? Why are you prioritizing that? That just doesn't make any sense. Jamin to say, yes, a positive connection is the main priority, especially for us marriage and family minded. Absolutely. Positive connection, high connection, low attachment when you're dating, right? Before you're married, low attachment. Okay. The reason why everyone's so mad at Lori is because obviously she had low attachment to Michael B. Jordan. I'm sure she loved him. I'm sure, she was in a relationship with the guy, but it wasn't an attachment that was so high to the point where she can't live without him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like she had a healthy, adequate level of attachment, but very, very high connection, which is why they had such a great relationship together. From, him whisking her off to places and he rented out what, an aquarium for her with roses and stuff like that. The connection was very, very high. And Michael B. Jordan he's dated white girls and he was not known to be renting out stuff with roses and stuff like that. He was really had a high connection with her. But Lori, she didn't have this high level of attachment, which is why she's able to date, have great relationships and great experiences with men, because she's focusing on quality and connection and the flow than she is with the attachment and the fear and all this other stuff that a lot of men are saying women should be focusing on, but it's not what's going to make you happy. It's not. And if you're focusing more on the connection instead of all the external extra stuff like how old you are and how much money he makes and how much money I make and my retirement and all this other crap, you need to focus on the connection first. That's what's really going to tie everything else together in the end. All right. If you don't have that connection, if that's not at the forefront, it's all going to come crumbling down. And people who are used to being single, who are used to not even having real relationships, they're going to tell you, oh no, you need to, the stats say this and the stats say that. All these freaking stats that are from like 20 damn years ago. It's not relevant to the reality that you need to make sure you're in a good situation, regardless of the money. Just like men don't, some smart men, in my opinion, I think they're smart. They're not just wifing up a beauty queen. You need to have more than beauty for some of these smart guys to get wifed up by them. You need to actually have the character of a true virtuous woman, of a true, like, if you're a Christian woman, like a true Proverbs 31 woman, like the real wife mentality, right? For these good men, for these men who are strong, healthy, masculine, protector, provider men. They're not wifing up beauty queens on OnlyFans. They're wifing up women who have good characters, who are disciplined, who are, you know, have good spirits all around, who want to have a connection. Like that's what it is. It's high connection, low attachment. Low attachment. And let these men shame you all day on the fact that you're not attached. That's not even healthy, to be attached to a man who's not your husband. Who's not your husband? What's the reason? My Cardi B voice. What was the reason? Who watches Love and Hip Hop? Sorry, sidetracked. But you know what I mean? Like, a high connection is so much more important. It's more memorable. You're going to remember a lot more about that person if you have a higher connection with them, right? Like, this is why some people end up getting married to one person, but they always have that one relationship that they remember that was like their first love or whatever, because that relationship had a very, very high connection. And those are relationships that you tend to always remember. You remember your higher connected relationships, your friendships, whatever, right? Shouldn't be attached and, you know, um, holding the high attachment over your high connection. That's how you get into abusive type of situations. That's how women who go through these unfortunate things with these crazy men but feel like they can't leave. It's because of those unhealthy attachments, because there ain't no connection there. Don't have a connection with an abuser. You have an unhealthy attachment with an abuser. That's why it's hard for you to step away. That's why it hurts so bad, you know? Lisa says Lori is getting paid to give clout. Michael Jordan was getting flack for dating non-black women. She is very savvy in understanding her beauty is currency, and associations raise her status too. True socialite. I definitely agree that Lori is big time socialite. I mean, she has a lot of girlfriends and she's always like getting interviewed. So it's safe to assume that she has probably a really, really fun personality, because people that have great personalities and are easy to talk to and are likable and relatable, they tend to have a lot of friends. They tend to always get called to be on the forefront of things. So I absolutely think that Lori has an amazing personality, but I think she has her amazing personality because she's not living in a state of fear. She's not living in a state of like, uh she's easily manipulated. She doesn't give me that vibe either, and she's able to do that because she's focusing on characteristics that matter. She's not focusing on things that don't matter. So, and as for, Michael B. Jordan, he was dating white girls. He was dating non-black women. Okay. So, and that didn't work out. We already know the stats about that. That typically doesn't work out anyway. No matter the black guy, when he dates out, that doesn't really, when he marries out, that doesn't tend to work. And exceptions don't make the rule. The stats are what they are. So, he's most likely going to go back to that. That's his business. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with Michael B. Jordan. He's an attractive looking guy. Like, he's not out here looking crazy. He takes good roles in movies, and he's a clean cut, good black man, but we still don't know how he is in relationships and how he's treating women. He's still ran through all these girls, um, and then is 35 and now wants to settle down with a woman like Lori Harvey, who he should know has options. Like, you can't just be that entitled to think that you can just run through all these women, get one of the best women, and think, oh, she's gonna just get with me. No, she not. You got the best of the best woman, right? You want the best of the best woman, don't you? Well, she has options, and she has other she she has other avenues where she can get what she wants. She doesn't have to settle for you. You may want to settle for her, but she doesn't have to settle for you. Just is what it is. It is what it is. Cleo says high connection, low attachment. Yeah, exactly. That's how you guys need to date. If you're dating for marriage at this time, you need to date with high connection, low attachment. That's the best way you're going to be able to get to know someone. That's the best way you're going to be able to feel free and not feel so pressured. The thoughts of, oh, I shouldn't have said this, I shouldn't have said that, oh, why did I do this, he's going to think this. Those thoughts go out the window when you're dating from a place of wanting to establish a high connection. You're authentically you, and you're able to get down to the nitty gritty of who this person is to really figure out if you guys are meant to be together long term. So that's all I want to say for this live, guys. It's been like an hour and 40 minutes. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am going to leave this live up. Comment down below what you guys think about this. Do you agree with the woman that I was playing earlier, who is, working with Okcupid, and she said that Black women are doing the best they've ever done on that app compared to those annoying studies that they were showing online about how Black women are the least desired, and they showed that Okcupid study from like 2014. Well, this woman came on that podcast to basically prove to you that's not the case. And she said a lot of other things that I have been seeing myself in real life, and on social media in general from other Black women. So I really enjoyed listening to that, and I wanted to show that to you guys and let you guys hear it for yourself, so that if you're online dating, I online date, And you can just get encouraged and get more information, and you can know that you wanting to open up your options, you're definitely not alone. Plenty of other Black women are doing it. Black women are on a total transformation. And I wouldn't pay attention to any other information regarding Black women that hasn't been recorded, um, since the pandemic. If it's information that is from before the pandemic, like 2015 and all these other stupid years ago, it's irrelevant. Everything has changed since then. Literally, people don't even go into their office anymore, and you're still looking at things from 2009. Just doesn't make any sense. So, make sure that, and then remember, high connection, low attachment. That's how you should be dating when y'all are out here, so that you can get the best man for the job truly and have the best kind of experiences for yourself with no regrets. All right, so make sure to like this video on your way out, turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss it when I go live. I'll talk to you ladies in the next one.